Well, welcome and thank you for joining us today for another episode of Level Up Law. Every Tuesday at noon, South Carolina Legal Services is doing our best to level up your legal knowledge on the different areas of law that we practice in. Today, we'll be providing information for the audience about awareness of fraud and scams as we go towards the holiday season. Let's see, we'll get started. So I'm joined today by Bailey Parker, who is the Communications Director of South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs. Welcome, Bailey.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you with us. So we'll be talking about holiday scams, and a lot of scams we see all year round, but some of them are particularly increased during the holiday season. Before we get started, I did want to mention the Federal Trade Commission's new website where you can report fraud. It's very easy to do. It was just launched on October 22nd. So that's an important website to have. Just as important is our South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs website, which we'll be showing you in just a minute. I do want you to please keep in mind that this is general information only. We're not giving out legal advice or anything like that. However, we can take questions if you just put those in the question box, and we'll do our best to answer those as time allows. Remember, you should always consult an attorney for any legal issues you have about your particular case. Remember, of course, as always, this is being recorded and it will be posted on our YouTube channel along with the slides that you'll be seeing today and some additional information and links to the various websites that we'll be mentioning. And at the end of our presentation, we will be giving you the information about how to contact legal services if you do need legal representation on these or any other issues that you might have. So just a quick look at the Report Fraud website that has been launched by the FTC. These are a lot of the type of scams and fraud that we'll be talking about today. So there's just a quick look at that. So first, let's talk to Bailey Parker, Communications Director at South Carolina Department of Consumer Affairs. Here's their website address. Bailey, I'd like to get an overview of the department and what you do there. So let's just get started with that. Could you just briefly describe for us what's the mission of the department and some of the activities that you all engage in there?
So we've been around since 1975, and our mission is to protect consumers from inequities in the marketplace. That's the fancy way of saying we want to help consumers in South Carolina stay safe from businesses who may be being bad businesses at that moment. So our most well-known area in consumer affairs is consumer services, where you can file a complaint against a business in the state of South Carolina. We get on average about 300 complaints a month. That's actually gone up to about 350, 375 since COVID-19 began. And we also are now in charge of putting together a HOA complaint report every single year that comes out in January. So those are some pretty popular complaint areas, but we do other things. We license certain businesses in the state of South Carolina. Off the top of my head, we license credit counselors, pre-need funeral, pre-need legal, mortgage lenders, people who are offering loans for cars, things like that. So we don't license every business in South Carolina, but we license a good deal of them. And in our enforcement division, those people are going around the state, or at least were going around the state physically as of last year. Now it's more digitally, just kind of like me. But they were going around the state making sure businesses were doing what they're supposed to be doing. Another area that is very popular right now, or is a hot topic, is advocacy. So we have an advocacy unit who is made up of a number of attorneys that are most involved right now in utility rate making. So we were given back the authority to intervene in utility rate cases back in 2018. We intervened in our first case last year, and we've been involved, I think, in upwards of six cases this year so far. So that's just a little bit, and there's a public information department. That's where I am, and we gave presentations, and we continue to give presentations for free on a number of topics: identity theft and scams, financial literacy topics, credit reports, credit scores, all that good stuff for free. So that's just a little bit about what we do.
So we're on the subject today of fraud, holiday scams, and that sort of thing. What are the top scams that you all see at the department? Because I know those get reported to you through your complaint system. What are the top ones that you see?
Yeah, so in our identity theft unit in the past couple of months, we have seen an increase in crime warrant scams. So what crime warrant scams look like are you get a phone call or a letter that says there's a warrant out for your arrest, or that your information has been involved in some type of crime. So the one we hear a lot that is very bizarre is that your information or your social security number has been connected to a abandoned car at the border of Mexico, and there's drugs and blood inside, and it all sounds very scary. But what they're most likely going to ask you to do is to give over your personal information. So they're going to get you to verify your social security number for them. And then they might even ask you to give over money to help with either an investigation or to clear your name. And they're going to ask for that either by wiring money, paying in checks, or paying in gift cards. So it seems very weird when you first hear it, but a lot of people are falling victim to these types of scams.
Well, speaking of gift cards, let's launch our first poll and see if anybody's out there that wants to answer this poll question. Let's see. If I can. I'm having a hard time launching that. Can you help me with launching this poll? It's not showing up on my screen. Well, our audience may be able to see it, I don't know, but the question is, when you buy a gift card at your local store, which of the following should you do? Number one, always pay for it with cash. Number two, make sure its PIN number hasn't been exposed. 3, use it within 60 days of purchase. And 4, never use it for items on sale. Bailey, what's your answer to that?
So what should you not do?
What you should do.
What you should do? Well, I know you shouldn't pay for it in cash. And you definitely want to make sure that the PIN has not been compromised in some type of way. So if that PIN has been exposed, you definitely don't want to interact with that card.
There's no gift card there to use. There's just a little plastic card, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Now, another thing we see with gift cards, and we'll talk more about this in a few minutes, but here's another question. Demanding payment by gift card for anything besides items from the company that issued it is always what, according to the FTC? A scammer, improving security, offering you a good deal, or telling the truth?
There's the poll. I see the poll.
Oh, okay.
So
it's not showing up on my screen. Well, the answer is a scammer. Anytime someone demands payment through a gift card, they're a scammer. And we see this quite a lot. We can talk about some more examples as we go along. I myself have had this happen. My family members and friends have had this happen. In fact, I've had a family member who got a call from their utility company saying, alleged utility company, saying that their electricity was about to be cut off and they needed to go to the dollar store or Dollar General, one of the dollar type stores, and get a money pack.
Yep.
To pay it and meet them at some strange place. So anyway, luckily, those of us who work in consumer law like you and I do, most of our family members and friends hear enough stories from us that they know to avoid things like that. But I do think that it points to the fact that so much of scamming now has gone digital. It used to be, other things, but now that we do so much through our computer, through our smartphone, and so forth. It's just increasing all the time, and we're all really at risk. So I thought it was an interesting note that between Thanksgiving and New Year's, shoppers are expected to spend $189 billion. And you got to be careful that none of that goes to criminals. We know a lot of it will. But this is what I thought was so interesting, this research from Risk IQ. There are nearly 1,000 apps that are using holiday-related items that this research company considered malicious. Over 6,000 apps use trademark names and copyrighted slogans. So you think that you're getting this message from a popular store, but then you give up your credit card number and it turns out it's not a popular store. And also 65 fake websites were found, and I'm sure there's plenty more than that. But those can be, things like adding a T to the end of Walmart or Target or something like that, and you think it's the one that you know, but it's not. So let's talk about some of the specific things that we see during the holidays. Package theft. Now, this is a big one, especially now, wouldn't you say, Bailey, with all of us kind of being staying at home a lot more and doing a lot of ordering online, and particularly with the holidays coming up. It is the season for package theft.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, a lot of people are shopping online more often now, and it's not even just package theft; it's just package scams in general, because there's so many people are ordering online. Scammers are taking advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. They can get your information and redirect it.
Mm-hmm.
So these are some tips that folks can use to protect, but there's only so much you can do. Arrange for a delivery that requires you to sign for it. Track your order. I think most of us that do any kind of online ordering, you typically can get that tracking information, and that's really helpful because you really do need to kind of know when it's coming so you can be on the lookout and grab it off your front porch before anything evil happens. And also there are some options like the Amazon Locker, or there's some other companies that provide secure locations for delivery. So that's something to think about too. All right, number 2, which we just talked about, gift cards that have nothing on them. So even before you buy a gift card, you should flip it over and see if that activation code is still covered up or if it's exposed, because that's really the only way to know. And then again, with gift cards, we do get a lot of folks who are asked to pay for something, pay for some fee to recover their computer hacked information, any number of things. I've had a client who was asked to go to a store like, like a big box store, to get quite a high amount of gift cards, like, you know, $1,000 worth of gift cards. And even the manager, you know, said, hey, that sounds like that might be a scam. Are you sure you want to get these gift cards? But the scammers are so convincing that even if you pause to think, yeah, this does seem kind of weird, but no, I got to protect my, you know, computer information or whatever it is. I think it's important to know you shouldn't pay for anything with a gift card. You should only give it as a gift. And once you have it as a gift, go buy a cup of coffee with it or a meal or whatever the gift is for. Okay, temporary holiday jobs. So many businesses do hire seasonal workers to get through that busy holiday season. And, you know, recently we did a Level Up Law episode about 10 scam jobs and business opportunities to watch out for. And we did that because with the virus pandemic, a lot of people were losing their jobs, and so they were looking for other ways to make money, and we wanted to be sure to, you know, warn folks about some of the scam type jobs out there. So definitely go look for that on our Level Up Law playlist on our YouTube channel. But here are some of the ways that scammers can pose as employees of an actual business. And this happens a lot, as you see here, on social media and on, you know, some popular websites. But then you follow the link, and it looks like a legit company that you're, you know, applying for a job with. But then they start asking for your personal information, which makes sense when you're applying for a job, but not when it was just some random post that you clicked on. Because once you give them that information, there is no job at the end of that tunnel. So if you're looking for a seasonal job, you should really try to apply in person or go directly to a website to apply. Try not to just click on links that just pop up on your computer. Don't you think so, Bailey? Any thoughts on that? Are y'all seeing any of that yet?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this for months now with COVID-19 and a lot of these jobs that you'll see, at least what we've been reported, are on places like Facebook or Craigslist. So they're not, and they can even pop up on places like Indeed.com, but it's less common there because they're often checking for these certain types of scammy listings. But I always tell consumers, if you're looking for a job, it's not necessarily bad to check on Facebook job groups, but you can't trust everything that you see in these job groups. And a lot of times people end up giving over private information because it sounds like an incredible job and it's paying a lot of money, and, you know, people are desperate. And so they end up giving over their information and sometimes even money, putting down money for maybe paying for their uniform or paying for some sort of products that they need to get in order to do the job. So yeah, be very careful of just any job listing that you find.
So Kenneth, can you launch the next poll for us before we go on to the next holiday scam? So this one should be, how can you tell a retail website might be fake?
Yeah.
Okay. So the web address is a variation of a known website. There is no encryption or security. The site offers prices that are too good to be true, or all of the above. I'm going to go with all of the above.
Me too.
Yeah, those are all telltale signs of a website being fake. So even if you see a temporary job pop up and you say, oh, well, I'll just research that, I'll go to the company's actual website, be careful because when you use that search engine or you put in the browser the name of the company, sometimes a scammer website name will come up. So you have to be really careful. I think one of the things we always want to remember about that is, does the web address have that HTTPS and then the S for security, or that little padlock sign, so you know it's should be the secure website. All right, and here we go, bogus websites. So if you got lucky and found the perfect gift for a low price, wait just a second, because you really should not believe some of these ads. Now, there are some ads that come up for a really low price, maybe a free item, but just you can't trust that, because as we always say, and I'm sure Bailey can echo this, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is way too good to be true.
Yep.
To shop on reputable sites, check that website address, always look for that S, and be sure to just be careful with your information before you put it on a website for an online purchase, for sure. And that brings me to fake freebies. Did you really just see a Facebook ad saying you could get a new iPhone free? That's going to probably be a scam. It can be a new phone, cruise, a luxury gift, and even, and I've never thought about this, but it turns out that it does happen a lot, downloading music, wallpaper, games, and those sorts of things. They look like it'll be great fun, or look nice on your Facebook page or whatever, but it could be downloading your information when you do that. What about other kinds of downloads, Bailey, on things other than your computer?
So the first thing that came to mind about fake freebies, and I hear this a lot, especially from younger adults, is that they will fill out these surveys. They'll see ads on the side of their websites that say, fill out a survey and get a free $100 Walmart gift card. And I have to be the one to break it to them that unfortunately it's just taking your information, because you have to give over your information before you fill out the survey, which is usually your full name, your date of birth, your home address, sometimes even your social security number. So be very wary of anything that's offering you, like, again, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. I mean, we've been seeing tons of reports of fake listings on Facebook Marketplace, where they'll offer to give you something free if you buy a product, and turns out neither of the products is going to show up, or it's an extremely low price. So, I mean, just be very wary of anything that's going to be offering you things for free, because really nothing in life is free.
And we always are warning people about be sure not to give anyone your social security number. Social Security Administration isn't going to call you and ask you for your social security number. The IRS isn't going to do that. But there are ways now with the digital world that we live in. If they have your name and your birth date, yep, sometimes they can do an end around and end up with your social security number as well. So you really
I tell consumers, because I hear there's a common misconception of, oh, well, I only gave them the last 4 digits. And what I have to tell them is, with the way everything is digital now, and you can basically Google anything and find anything on social media about a person, if they know the last 4 digits, if you were born before 2013, your social security number, specifically the first 5 digits, is a calculation of when you were born and where you were born. So if they know that information already, all they needed you to do was give them the last 4 digits, and you just gave them basically your whole social security number.
Yeah, that is great information for our listeners, for sure, because there are a lot of requests for those last 4, and you think it's okay to give it, but it really isn't, especially if it's a scammer. Okay, I know y'all see a lot of this fake charities, especially this time of year. You know, you're wanting to be, giving, whether it's at Thanksgiving or Christmas, or even if you just want to get a tax write-off at the end of the year, and it's not necessarily totally from the heart. This is a time of year when you're going to be getting a lot of random communications about different charities. And so you really do need to make sure that it is an authentic charity that you're making a contribution to, especially, as we say here, if it's online or some sort of a text message type solicitation. I get more and more of these all the time. You know, you try to use devices and software and so forth that will block all of that, but still things get through. I know here at Legal Services we have a great firewall protection. Sometimes things still come through. So I think it's important, if you are thinking about donating to a charity, especially if it's one that you don't know what it is. It's maybe not a local charity, but something where the cause is near and dear to your heart. In South Carolina, our Secretary of State has the Wise Giving Report and the Give Smart watch list. And so we're providing that website for you where you can check those charities out and see what kind of a thumbs up or thumbs down our Secretary of State gives them. You can also check out some national options like that, which is charitynavigator.org, and I think there's one called give.org.
Yeah, give.org.
Yeah, so research who you're giving your money to, and if you can, just contact them on your own separately, or by going to their official website.
Another thing I'll say about fake charities is just be wary of GoFundMes or other sites that are claiming to be raising charitable donations for whatever cause. There's a lot going on in the world right now, whether it be the California wildfires or hurricanes, tropical storms, whatever it may be. And there's plenty of scammers out there who take advantage of the disasters or things going on in the world and say they're donating the money raised to these causes, but in fact, it's just lining their pockets.
So true. It really is all year round. And I think you make a great point about disaster areas, because that's one of the top places that scammers flow to. The disaster happens, they're like, oh, fresh meat, let's go there. And
yep, they'll show up in person.
All right, phishing emails. Let's talk about those. Yeah, I think we all have heard of phishing emails and what they are, which is really just kind of phishing for your information. But I think, again, with the digital world that we live in becoming more and more dangerous, I guess, we really do need to watch out for these. So here's just kind of a laundry list of kind of what might be a phishing email. And, sometimes I look at these and I think, well, people probably realize that, but I don't know that they necessarily do. Sometimes they're not paying attention. Sometimes there's a little hook in there that makes you think it's legit, or make you think that it's something that you should respond to. So here's just some top ones, asking you to update your payment method. You can get something even like from Netflix, or, your cell phone provider, or even a credit card or something like that, and you just suddenly get a text message that says, oh, we need you to update your payment information, or, you need to change your password. And you think because it's coming, it seems to be coming from them, and it's on your device, that maybe it's okay, but no, you should hang up on that and then go check the legit company's official website. When they're asking you to take immediate action, especially when it's asking for personal details, that's going to be a phishing email. Don't respond to it. And I'll tell you, I've had many people who have had that happen to them, and they have, thought that it was such an emergency, or they had to do it really quickly because they were going to lose the free gift, or lose the discount coupon or something like that. So just don't let an email become an emergency for you just because you're kind of scrolling through. I think we've kind of mentioned that when when you're looking at an email address or a website address, and it's mostly like something that you recognize, look again. Take a second look and make sure that's really the right spelling and so forth, because that also happens with emails. One letter can make all the difference, but it looks like the same entity that it's coming from. And here's misspellings and bad grammar, always recognizable. But I still get these emails that start with, "Hello, dear." And I'm like, nobody's going to be calling me dear when they're asking for my money or my personal information. But I still get a lot of emails that begin with, "Hello, dear." And then the message that promises, like we've talked about, a refund, coupon, or any other kind of freebies. Well, let's go back to our poll questions and run through another one of those that has to do with internet connections. Kenneth, can you bring up the next one for us?
It's not up yet. Oh, there it is.
There we go. Thank you. So a recent survey by Experian found that a certain percentage of respondents do not shop on a personal protected internet connection. Okay. What do you think the percentage is of people responding to this survey who don't shop on a protected internet connection? In other words, they're using some sort of public Wi-Fi. 20%, 42%, 57%, or 81%. I was really scared that it was going to be 81%, which would be a great majority of the population. But I was happy to find out that the answer was 42%. So 42% of people do not shop on a private network. So that means if you're at a coffee shop or you're at a store and or even an airport, when that guest Wi-Fi pops up and you click on that and join that, you better have some good protection on your phone, your laptop, or whatever, because to block any kind of spam or hacking of your information, because you're opening it up for all the world to hack. Am I right, Bailey?
Yeah, I mean, it's always just even not even just shopping, but checking your bank account on your bank account app or your credit card. So, I mean, just be very careful of what sites you're visiting and what information you're putting there, because it's so easy. I mean, I can't do it because I'm not smart enough to do it, but I hear for somebody who knows anything about how to hack, it's just like this, to hack into a Wi-Fi connection and see all the information that people are putting in.
Yeah, and again, especially this time of year, really be careful, because I think it's a time when we're not being careful already because of the pandemic, and then you put the holidays on top of that. Bad news. Well, let's do one more quick poll question before we move on. The next poll question is, how can you determine if a charity that is soliciting money from you online or by telephone is legitimate? 4 choices, and everyone should know the answer to this now because we've gone over it. To determine if they are legitimate, you can ask them, ask the charity, look at their website, research the charity online at Charity Navigator or give.org, or here in South Carolina at our Secretary of State. Or you can determine that they are legitimate by just trusting your own instincts. Well, I think, as we've been talking about, our own instincts aren't really all that great sometimes when it comes to scammers.
Yep.
So, the answer is research the charity online. You know, both of these that we mentioned here, Charity Navigator and Give.org, they actually do, as I understand it, examine the financial documents and the just profiles of the charities to assess their operations and make sure they're legit and all. So I think they do a good job with that. So it's really good to use those to check that out.
The one thing I will say to add to phishing is it's not just emails anymore, it's text messages too. So don't, I know I've received this text at least once a month over the last like 5 months where everybody's ordering online more often, and all of a sudden I'll get a random text from a random number that says, hey, your package has been delayed, or your package is going to be delivered. Click this link so you can track it, which, I mean, if I'm ordering a lot of stuff online, and especially for the holidays, that might be tempting to say, oh, great, I'm getting an update, or why has it been delayed? Let me click this link. And turns out it's a fake link that's going to take you somewhere that's either going to install malware on your device, or it's going to ask you to put in your information.
Yeah, that's great point. Well, here's some top holiday phishing emails that we wanted to share. And one is exactly what you just mentioned, bogus delivery confirmation requests that are seeking your information. Also, this is one I hadn't heard of because my children are all adults now. A personalized letter to your child from Santa.
Yes.
And then another one I hadn't heard of, the Secret Sister gift exchange. This apparently started out like on Facebook 5 years ago.
This infuriates me.
So you're familiar with this one?
I see this from even just my friends on Facebook. I've seen it twice so far, just in the last 2 weeks.
Wow. So it's like a pyramid scheme. You give $10, you know, and you think you're going to get a $10 gift, and then you think you're going to get like $300 or $400 worth of gifts back. But what you're really doing is not only giving your personal information, but with it being like a pyramid scheme, I guess you're giving the information of other people that you know. So, yeah.
What I always tell people when I tell them about the pyramid scheme thing is it's one thing to do a gift exchange where you're just exchanging a small gift with one other person. That makes sense. But this whole idea of like, oh, you only have to put in $10 or one gift and you're going to get 16 gifts back. Because I'm not a math person either. Like I didn't study math in college. I was never good at it. And so, I mean, for somebody like me, if I were to see that might, if I knew nothing about math, I'd be like, that sounds pretty good. Put in one gift, get out 16. But math-wise, it just doesn't work out, right? So just, if it's a regular exchange, that's totally fine where you're giving one gift and expecting one gift back. But if you're getting tons of, just don't even get involved.
Right. You're doing it even with a small group of people that you actually know.
Yes.
There's ways to do that. So. Okay, and here's just a list of some top tips about holiday spending, most of which we've talked about today. You know, pay by credit card when you're online shopping. You know, if you use a debit card, you're kind of opening up your bank account. And I think, I don't know, Bailey, you can chime in on this about credit card companies are pretty good about fraud. When it's tied to your bank account, that can become pretty difficult.
Yeah, this is the number one tip we give to people who are shopping online, is if you're going to shop online, please use a credit card if you can. Reason being is there's more insurance behind credit cards than there is debit cards, because the money on your credit card is not technically yours. So credit card companies are incentivized to keep that money theirs instead of yours. So with a debit card, if somebody's supposed to is going to hack into your account or somehow intercepts your debit card number, that's a straight line into your checking account where your actual cash is. And the reporting times for debit cards, so say you don't find the fraud on your account for 30 days, you could be responsible for up to $500 of that purchase. And it's even worse if you don't if you don't report it in the, I think 60 days is $500. If it's over 60 days, you could be responsible for the entire fraudulent purchase. So just be very careful. If you can use a credit card, do it. And if for whatever reason you can't use a credit card, we oftentimes tell people, go to your local Walmart, go to Target, buy gift cards, and then use those gift cards online to make your own purchases for you. Because if somebody's going to intercept that gift card, there might not be any money left on it already. You may have spent it all, or there might only be a couple of dollars left. So that's an option if for whatever reason you can't use a credit card.
That's a good idea. Just make sure that security code is not exposed.
That's
right?
why we say buy from a reputable, go to a reputable store. Don't just buy from any random person on the internet a gift card.
Which really also, brings us to number 2, which is, buy gift cards for gifts, not for payments.
Yes.
Except in that example that you mentioned, because it's really important to not give people that access to your, directly to your bank account. We've already said research those charities before you donate, and of course, at the Christmas time and the holidays, if you give gifts, don't give personal information. Now, this is one that I think is probably something that a lot of people do, and it's very tempting. Saving your credit card information on a retail site where you're purchasing something. Most of them you can, it'll say continue as guest or save your information or something like that. What do y'all recommend on that?
We always say don't save anything. Don't save your passwords, don't save your debit or credit card information, don't save your address if you could even help it. Don't auto-populate those things. And I'm also a victim of this. It's so convenient to save these things in your browser so you don't have to keep entering in information. But the problem with that is if you're doing this not even just on your computer, but on your mobile device, on your phone, if somebody were to get into your phone and you've saved your bank account information so they can just sign right into your bank account, that's a problem. So I know it's a hassle, and ever since I've changed my habits, it is a hassle, but it's worth it to save your information, or to not save your information so you can save your money.
Right. Protect your information, because you never know when it's going to be you that it happens to. We always think it won't happen to us, but it does. And also lots of times you can use the third-party payment method and go through it that way. Now, there seems to be more and more theft of Venmo and Cash App and those kind of apps on the smartphones happening. Have y'all seen much of that at Consumer Affairs?
Yeah, we've been getting more reports of it. It's so easy now to just transfer money anywhere. And especially I hear this from young adults a lot, where it's teenagers specifically, where they may not have their own debit card, but their parents give them access to the debit card on their Venmo account so they can pay for things and whatnot. And that's really dangerous. So what you should always do is you should always have a password, not only on your digital device, but on the actual app itself. You should not save it. And also, you should always have notifications sent to either your email, or I think you can do, some of them have text messaging, where every time you transfer money or you make a purchase, an email is sent to you saying, hey, just to let you know, here's the receipt of what just happened. So that way, if somebody is to get into your Venmo or your Cash App and start transferring themselves money, you can catch it right as soon as it's happening.
Now, here's something that I had never thought of, because I'm not really a world traveler to any great extent, but disable international purchase on your credit cards. I didn't even realize that was a thing. That, that was, maybe it's automatically enabled, maybe it's not, maybe you have to enable it. But this was something that I didn't really realize was a thing on a credit card, and I think it's a really important warning that everybody should go do right now on their credit cards if they haven't.
Yeah, and even there's a option on some credit cards to get notifications every time your credit card is used out of the state that you live in. So, and it's different than if you were to use it online and the company was in a different state. It's your actual card was physically swiped in a different state. So, or the card was punched in somewhere in a different state. So that's an option also.
And then, of course, as we talked about, don't use that public Wi-Fi, especially when you are making purchases, because that is just asking for trouble. Asking for trouble for sure. Well, let's see if we have any more poll questions. I think we have a couple. Yeah, Kenneth, if you could do the last few poll questions for us. I think the next one is the letter from Santa, which we've already talked about. So, and this has to do with a child's information. It's so important. So the letters from Santa is a common scam that we've already talked about, but according to the Better Business Bureau, why is the identity information of children of particular value? Is it because parents might not check their child's credit record for many years? Is it because retailers can't tell the difference from the adult's name? Children generally have excellent credit profiles. They haven't been able to get any credit when they're under 18. Parents are responsible for fraudulent purchases in the child's name. So what is the reason why a child's information is so valuable to a scammer? I'm going to say the answer is parents may not check a child's credit record for many years. And I know, Bailey, that y'all at Consumer Affairs have a great identity theft unit. And I think we see more and more of this with people stealing their own children's information sometimes, or a family member. What is the typical situation that y'all see, or is it just all over the place?
It's usually a family member that is using a child's information, and the reason it usually happens is because the child doesn't have a credit report, and so this person, family member, whoever it may be, probably doesn't have a great credit report themselves, and they're looking to open up new lines of credit. And guess what? A child doesn't have lines of credit, doesn't have a bad credit score, doesn't have a bad credit report anymore, or doesn't have it at all. So they take advantage of that. So what we always tell consumers is there is a special protected consumer freeze for children that you can take advantage of. You just have to call each of the credit reporting agencies, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, and you can ask them to place a protected consumer freeze on your child's credit reports. Now, children just don't automatically have credit reports. So that means that a credit report is going to have to be created in your child's name. But what the protected consumer freeze will do is it will lock it down, which means no new lines of credit, nothing can be added to that. And it won't be lifted until your child turns, is it 17? I think it's 17, or it might be 16, because that's when a lot of students are getting either their first cell phone or their first car. But that's an option for consumers who are concerned about child identity theft. It happens a lot more than we care to admit.
Yeah. And you know, and that's the most egregious one, I think. But I'll throw out a warning too, because I have seen cases recently and over the years, because so many people are, living together, roommates and things like that. And we get so many things like credit card offers in the mail. And it's real easy for someone in the same home as you to get that mail and take that credit card offer that has your name on it.
Yep.
And apply for a credit card in your name. So it's always important to be, living with trustworthy people. And just if it's one of those situations like it sometimes is in college or whatever, we don't know them all that well. Just keep an eye
Check
on
your
your
credit
mail
report.
and check your credit report. Exactly. And how do we do
Yeah.
that for free?
Yeah, you go to annualcreditreport.com. Right now, because of COVID-19, you actually have the opportunity to check your credit report for free once per week. Now, I don't know who needs to check their credit report once per week, but hey, take advantage of it. Usually, though, you get an opportunity to check your credit report once for free every single year. Reason we say annualcreditreport.com is because they are the only site authorized by federal law to give you your credit reports no strings attached. And when I say no strings attached, I mean that they are not going to sell your information to third-party sites like some larger credit card companies or credit report companies are saying that they're doing. So just go there. It's the best place to go, and check your credit reports as much as you can, because that's the first way that you can really check for identity theft and mitigate it.
That's right. And that doesn't really affect your credit score.
It does not at all, actually. Checking your credit report does not check your credit score. The only time checking your credit report is going to hurt your score is if you're actually making a hard inquiry for a line of credit. So that means you're going out and you're applying, you've applied for that credit card, or you've applied for the loan. So checking your credit report does not affect your credit score.
Well, Bailey, we're getting close to the end of our time, and you have been a wealth of information for our listeners. I think this is really important information as we head into the holiday season and in general, and especially during the pandemic times. So I want to thank you for being with us. And just very quickly, is there anything else that we haven't talked about today that you think is really important or that you would like to share with our audience?
If you have been a victim or you suspect you've been a victim of identity theft, don't hesitate to call us. Our identity theft unit may not be able to help you get money back if you've lost money, but what we can do is we can help walk you through the process that you need to recover your identity. So we can help you get those credit reports, help you decide which things need to be disputed, how to dispute, how to block, all of that stuff. Because identity theft, once it's on your credit report, it is so hard to get off. And don't be embarrassed. Everyone of every age is now getting scammed. It's happening to every age range. It's not just older adults like some people think. In fact, the FTC says that millennials and younger are actually getting scammed more often than older adults. They just lose less money when they get scammed. So don't be embarrassed to report these things. We work with the FTC closely to get these things reported. So if you have any question and you want to talk to a state agency about it, give us a call and we can help you out.
Yeah, and the more that these scammers are reported, the closer we can come to, someday really being able to catch them, because they are slippery.
Exactly.
Hard to catch. But the more you have information, the better off we'll be as far as catching these scammers. So I want to thank Bailey Parker for joining us today and adding so much to the conversation. Bailey, thank you so much. And let me thank all of you who joined us today. We appreciate your interest in this subject matter and others. I do want to remind you that Level Up Law is a series of free legal events, a webcast every Tuesday at noon about different areas of law that we practice in. We've had a number of these since starting in June. I believe June 9th was our first one. So you can go to our YouTube page and look for the playlist of Level Up Law. We have other playlists, but the Level Up Law playlist has these webcasts there. And be sure to thumbs up, like, subscribe, get those alerts so you'll know when a new one has been posted. Check out our Facebook page and our website to see what's coming up next. And I can say that next week we have our public benefits unit head, Jenny Kaufman, who will be talking about Social Security and SSI, some important tips that you need to know about there. And you see here on the screen our intake information. Just call us. You can apply through the phone or online. And we have all kinds of great information on our various websites. And I know that Consumer Affairs and the FTC as well both have great websites with just a wealth of information, alerts, news. I know, Bailey, you guys have a something I think every Wednesday about finances. And I know that even I have an alert for every time you guys post something on your website.
Yeah, you can sign up for our alerts on our website. Just go to consumer.sc.gov and it's on that very front page. You can sign up for our email list.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And thanks everybody for tuning in. And we look forward to having you next week. And
Thank you so much.
Today's webinar. Thank you, Bailey.
Bye.
Bye.